What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllNBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler, who is fuming. I can't believe it took us 72 hours to get the show going after the wildest trade I can remember in NBA history. Legs, how you doing today?
Well, it's timing, right? Stuff happens on the weekend. This is what you get. And then we didn't have a show scheduled for Monday. Doesn't matter. This story is going to be talked about for the next 50 years.
It's true. It's true.
50 years, maybe longer than 50 years. They're going to be talking about this story. What just happened to this league, to this city? Man, goodness, man. I'm just in a state of, I'm still in a state of shock.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's been, as I said, 72 hours, but the shock hasn't worn off. Every day there's something new that pops up and gives you more to chew on. But this show, usually we talk about the games, and there were some good ones last night in the NBA. We're throwing all of that to the side because the top story right now is, of course, this huge trade that the Dallas Mavericks made. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the Fox trade a little bit later because I think that one's very interesting as well for Sacramento, for San Antonio, maybe even for Chicago. So we'll get to all of that. But we have to start with the big news. Luka Doncic gets traded at 10:30 at night Mountain Time. That was 12:30. I texted you, Legs, at 12:30. I almost called. I always text because, a text gets silence. I almost called and was like, you know what? Let me see if he's up and wants to go live here at 1 o'clock in the morning. But what was just, if we take it back real quick, what was your reaction? When did you get the news, by the way? Did you get it that night or did you get it the following morning? And what did you think?
So this is great. So I am laying there in bed on the road in a hotel room, and I kind of got the phone on the nightstand. I got my back to it, trying to sleep. And it's like, you get the first one. It's like, right. And you're like, that could be anything. That could, it could be, that's nothing that important. Right. And then it's like a few minutes go by, and then it's like, now it's like picking up the frequency of these vibrations coming through my phone. And I'm like, what in the world? Now you start to think like, is everybody okay? Right. Although if it was my wife, I know she would have called. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I roll over, and I need my glasses like to see my phone anymore. So like, it's kind of blurry. I didn't put my glasses on. I'm like reading, and I just saw Luka. I saw Luka a lot in these text messages. And I thought, and I swear this is all true, I thought something happened to Luka.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, so now I grab my glasses, like what happened to Luka Doncic? And then, of course, I saw it, and I couldn't believe what I was even reading, man. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So that's how I found out. What night? So that was Saturday night? Was that Saturday night?
Saturday
okay, so
night,
yeah, I called the game on Sunday. So this was Saturday night. I was on the road about to call the game. I was in Milwaukee. I called Memphis and Milwaukee on Sunday. So we had a production dinner that night. So this was after that. So yes, that's right. Because I remember now in the morning, I go down, I meet Mark Jones and the producer, and we're talking about it. Then we go over to the arena for the games. And of course, we bring it up to Doc Rivers and Taylor Jenkins, the two coaches about to play, and different players and other assistant coaches and people at the arena. And obviously this is the hot topic of conversation. And I've never heard the word shocked used so many times by so many different people, including lifers. Like Doc Rivers is a lifer in this league. You'd think nothing would surprise a guy like Doc Rivers. And that's not the case at all. He couldn't believe it. No one could believe it. Obviously, I'm still here. We are however many hours later, and I'm still in a state of disbelief that the Dallas Mavericks would do this.
Almost 50 years in the NBA for Doc Rivers, as a player, coach, and everything else. So media, he's been, to your point, he's seen half of the league's entire history, more than half. He's been a part of it. So for him to be shocked just shows you. But, let's start to break this down, because the shock factor, of course, everybody felt it. It was the weirdest experience. But people that were, awake and everything through it will never forget how much of a shock and how weird it was finding out that news. Nobody knew he was on the market. But let me start to break this down and just, again, humor me for a second, because I disagree with the trade. And I know you're a huge Luka guy. You're a huge Luka believer. Not everyone is. And it's shocking that Nico Harrison, the Mavs GM, was clearly not a Luka believer. And if we just go for a second, the concerns he raises about Luka are real. Doesn't play great defense, doesn't give tons of effort on defense. And, does he have the leadership or drive or determination, talk about his weight or, this or that. I can at least understand that those are real concerns about Luka Doncic. Like if you're talking about a superstar player, but at least if we just humor me for a second, that's the concern. And is there any world where that concern might end up proving Nico Harrison right 3-4 years from now? You look back and you say, I just don't know if he was made of the right stuff. If we just start from there.
No question about it. Because I'm going to be honest and fair about this and balanced. The truth to answer your question, the answer is yes. And here's what I've said about this trade. There's only two ways this can go. Only two. Within the next 5 years, and by that point, Luka Doncic will be approaching 30, or will be 30, hasn't won, then Nico Harrison will have been somewhat justified in this. Even though then I'm not sure, because of the entertainment value he took away from his fan base, and just that's the most talented player in the history of the organization. And he's 25. So that I'm not even sure then if he doesn't win, but if he goes to LA, let's play this out. He plays a year and a half with LeBron. LeBron retires after next season. Let's just say this is how it goes. And they don't win, which I think is very likely that they're not going to win. And then now Luka becomes the star of the face of the franchise going forward. They add another star with him, and he plays another 3 years for the Lakers, and they still don't win. And he's missing games occasionally. And again, they think he's out of shape every year. He shows up for camp, and now he's 30 years old and he hasn't won, despite the fact that they've put great players around him and everything else. That's one way this could go.
Yeah.
And the only other way this could go is this ends up being the worst trade in the history of team sports.
You're right.
No, I'm serious, because the other option is what? He goes to LA and he does win.
Right.
And he wins one or two or multiple championships. Who knows how it plays out if he's in the Lakers uniform for the next decade. And the Lakers are always good about, reinventing themselves and adding another star and guys wanting to come. Maybe he does. Maybe he goes on and wins 2 or 3 titles. And then this trade gets talked about 30, 40 years after Nico Harrison has left this earth even.
Right.
This will be pointed to forever if it goes the other way. I don't think there's an in-between. And by the way, Adam, let me just say, even if the Mavericks win a championship this year or next year, that alone won't justify this, because you could have done it with Luka.
Right.
And you'll never know that. So you have to wait. This, to me, the entire way that this trade is going to be overall evaluated for eternity is 100% based on what Luka Doncic does. It's not about what the Mavericks do. It's not about winning. It's not about how good Anthony Davis is or Kyrie, or it's not about that at all, because you potentially could have done all of those things with Luka. So it's really about Luka. Now, if Luka goes and he doesn't win, wherever he goes, Lakers and beyond Lakers, and he just doesn't win, and all these things are continuing to be talked about, guess what? At that point, Nico Harrison will be justified. He will be validated, and I'll be the first one to say that. Now, I'm betting on Luka.
Yeah.
I think Luka will do those things. I think he will have that kind of a career. I think he will win MVPs. I think he will win titles. So for me, obviously, I'm hedging it's going to go the other way, where this is going to be talked about for eternity. And that's to me, there's no other in between, and it has nothing to do with the success of the Dallas Mavericks over the next 3 to 4 years, as Nico Harrison put it, the present and future, which to him is no more than 3 or 4 years, apparently, because he said that.
Right.
Okay, so that's was an interesting comment to me when you got a 25-year-old superstar and you're talking about the future being 3 or 4 years. That's a very interesting perspective. And by the way, something else he said, hey, 10 years from now, who knows? I mean, Jason Kidd and I might be buried by then, or we'll bury ourselves. To me, that's a slight and a slap in the face to the organization. Your responsibility as a GM It's not just, let me just win right now in this window that I'm the GM and running the show. That's not that, man. It's about always maintaining excellence for the franchise long after you're gone. And that comment was just very much like, 10 years, who cares? I won't even be here in 10 years. Like that was a weird, that to me is something that I think the fan base should take exception to. Like, well, wait a second. What is that supposed to mean? Well, we're fans forever. We live in the city. This was our favorite player of all time and would be, and you just got rid of him and you're saying, well, I won't be here 10 years anyway, so what difference does it make? That to me, that comment bothered me a lot. I don't know about you if you took it that way.
Well, it bothered Jason Kidd, who was sitting next to him as well. If you watched his reaction during that one, very uncomfortable during that comment specifically. But I think with part of what's so uncomfortable about this is Nico Harrison is almost, he's lifting the veil or on his own perspective of the transient nature of all of this, because we know that starting with LeBron, I mean, obviously this existed before it, but really I think in earnest with LeBron's decision, there was this perspective of players. All of a sudden it was, man, our player could leave us at any time. It didn't used to happen the way it happens now, but if you don't have an extension signed going into free agency, teams assume you're gone. Look at the Jimmy Butler situation. He's not going to sign an extension. We just assume he's gone, so we got to trade him early. That's the new landscape we have. And there's always been the reverse of this where teams would trade high-profile players, but the high-profile players are usually the second guy, the third guy, the beloved role player could be traded at any time, and it's a business. You never trade a top 5 player in his prime. And this, to me, I just wonder what you think of with LeBron in the decision. Every organization changed how they operated because they knew their players could exercise that agency in a different way and use it as leverage. I wonder if Luka getting traded changes the way players now view their own teams, because if Luka can get traded, anybody can get traded. And I just wonder if one of the fallouts of this is that superstar players now operate in an even more transient way where it's like, hey man, what do I owe? They'll trade Luka. They'd trade me in a heartbeat if this is the case.
And normally, Adam, I'm going to be honest with you, man, normally like those blanket takes, like you just said, I would probably disagree with. I 100% agree with you. And why wouldn't they think that? Kevin Durant said it. And look, Kevin Durant's past that point because of his age. But when you're talking about guys that are in their mid to late 20s that are the face of the franchise, Anthony Edwards said it too. Anthony Edwards said it too.
Yep. He should. Yep.
And he said the same thing last night. And they're half joking, but they're right too. Kevin Durant said, man, I guess we're all up for grabs now. And Anthony Edwards said something similar, and they're right. And look, these people, I'm going to go in on some of you people in the comment section right now. Okay, I am. I'm going in on some of you people.
People are emotional, Legs. People are emotional.
That's fine. They're emotional, but they don't talk nonsense. You can't win a championship with guys like Luka Doncic. Like, and this is a very small percentage of the comments. Most of these people are in support of Dallas keeping Luka and against this trade. He went to the finals at 24 years old. I lost to the best team by a mile in the NBA. By a mile. What are you talking about? He can't win a championship with guys like Luka Doncic. Way too early to know that. Guess what? You might be right. And I'll revisit this with whoever said that in the comments. 5 years from now, check in with me. I'll remember this day. And I will be the first one to own it, because everybody that knows me knows I own stuff if I'm wrong about it. I'm betting on Luka because he is a generational talent. Yeah. The most talented player to ever wear a Mavericks uniform. And that's not a slight against Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki, obviously had a better career because it was longer. He won a championship. He won an MVP. Luka has all these things to do still. But in terms of talent, it's not close. Luka Doncic is the most talented player to ever play for that franchise. And he was 24, and he had already been to a conference final with a team that wasn't very good and a final with a team that was reinvented halfway through the season and lost to a team that nobody in the NBA was going to beat. And after that, they make the determination halfway through the next season. Yeah, we've seen enough of this act. Let's move on from this. And like I said, I don't even care if the Mavericks win. And look, they're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Davis is a great player. Kyrie Irving is a great talent, and Kyrie Irving's been really good since he's been in Dallas with all the other stuff. He's been focused on basketball. I give him a lot of credit. He's totally dialed in. They've made additions to their team that I like. Clay comes in, Quentin Grimes. They've still got the two centers. I like their PJ Washington. I like their team. They're going to win. They're going to be competitive. And if Luka's hobbled this year, maybe they're even going to be better this year than he would have been with Luka. Oh, that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter because you'll never know what you are going to do with Luka Doncic. And listen, this isn't just my opinion. This is every single person that I have talked to in the NBA since this trade happened. They all feel the same way. They cannot believe that you would trade a player of his caliber at this age, regardless of my buddy Ryan Russillo. We were talking about this before the thing. Ryan Russillo, a good friend of mine, does a great podcast. He was on with Bill Simmons. He had a great line. He said, "I wouldn't care if he was smoking a cigarette, dribbling the ball up the floor. I'm giving the guy the supermax."
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think he's fat Luka got you to the finals.
Right.
Okay. Like, I'm just saying, like, this can only be judged on what is remaining in the arc of Luka Doncic's career. And here's what I hope for Luka. This is cold water in his face. The guy's got a massive ego. This has to be a blow to your ego. That it does make him. And look, he's never going to be a Giannis Antetokounmpo running sprints in the summer, right, in a blazing sun, trying to get in tip-top shape. He's not LeBron. He's not going to be Kobe. He doesn't have that. I get it. Even if he improves that by 10%, 15%, with whatever, his diet, his condition, whatever it may be, and he takes this personally, man, I'm betting on Luka if that's the case. If I'm wrong, 5 years from now, I'll be the first one to admit it.
Well, and that's what this all is about is, every superstar has a flaw, and Nico Harrison only could see the flaws and they just outweighed it. So he said, I'm going to bet against Luka rather than on him. And that's the part of this whole thing that just seems so absurd. Jokic didn't play defense, wasn't in the best shape. Won a title, was incredible in that title run. It's like when you have a great player, you say, okay, those are the flaws. How do I balance those out? How do I build a team around it? Because that gives me a floor that even on a decent year can get you to the conference finals, which is something he's done twice in his career as a 25-year-old. But let's move on now, Legs, to start talking about these teams. And I want to start with the Dallas Mavericks because I think they're a bit more immediate. Anthony Davis is a great player, and he's been very great. He's actually been fairly consistent over the last handful of years and available. You look at the defensive team that they are able to field now in Dallas, and I look at that and I go, okay, that's championship caliber defense. I don't know if it's a championship caliber offense and two-way team. We'll have to see how quickly do they gel. But if we throw out the absurdity that this was Luka Doncic that they traded, and you just say, okay, what is the team they assembled? I actually think it's a really good team that has a chance, depending on how well Kyrie Irving can carry this team. And he's carried them very well in Luka's absence. He's been phenomenal over the last 2 seasons now in Dallas. But I actually look at this team and go, I don't love the long term, but the short term here, they've got a defense that I think is going to give most teams in the Western Conference a lot of fits if they're healthy.
You're right. I agree with you. I do have something. I saw someone, I wish I could give them credit because I was reading about a lot of this stuff, the breakdown of the teams going forward yesterday, and I don't remember who wrote this, but it was a great point. And the point was this. So now I will say, okay, Anthony Davis is a great defensive player, and he's going to be playing more 4 with one of those centers. Your rim protection's on lockdown with him and Gafford or him and Lively when Lively comes back before the playoffs, hopefully, even if he doesn't make it back. Gafford and AD, man, that's some serious rim protection. And AD, more than adequate, jumping out, guarding smaller players on a switch. Like he's an elite level big defender, no doubt. But think about some of the other stuff. The trickle-down effect of whatever you're going to be going with now, whatever lineups you want to play. Kyrie guarding principally the ones.
Yeah.
Clay now, I would assume, playing the 2. Clay's now guarding 2s, not 3s. That's a big difference for Klay Thompson at this stage of his career.
Speed-wise, yeah.
PJ Washington now guarding 3s instead of 4s is a big deal for PJ Washington. So the trickle-down effect on the perimeter could be something that we're going to pay attention to, but there's no doubt AD, what he gives you in the backline defense, and even a different way to it. Obviously, their offense is going to be completely different than what it used to look like with Luka and his ball dominance and ball screens and ISOs and the way he played. So that's going to look different. And it's gonna be a lot of 2-man game and a lot of ISO through Anthony Davis, and that's how you're gonna play. And there's no doubt in my mind they're gonna be a very good team. They're gonna win a lot of games. I don't know yet until I see them for a while, where I think they fall in the West, because Oklahoma City's the best team in the Western Conference. Nobody's disputing that. Are they going to be as good as Denver? Are they going to be as good as Houston? Are they? By the way, I'm really getting more and more and more impressed by Memphis every day. And I just saw their game on Sunday. They're a really good team, man. And they always have somebody out, Ja right now, and they're still always playing great basketball. Had a great win against Milwaukee on Sunday, the game that I called without Ja Morant. So are they going to be as good as those teams? Who knows how good the Lakers are going to be? Like, we got to wait and see that. Are they now somewhat more in the mix? Does Golden State make a big trade? You got the Clippers who have been really good. So I don't know yet. Anybody thinks they do know, it's ridiculous. We have to see the product to see how you like the Mavericks. But there's no doubt they're in the mix, and they're going to be a very good team. I have no questions about that. And I still don't care.
Well, if we keep talking, I know, but if we just look at it for this year, because you're right, I think the defense is going to be great, and then the offense is the question mark. But here's one thing I keep thinking about as I watch these various teams. I mean, namely Denver, but even teams like Houston. Athleticism matters, strength matters, and they, as much as you're right, are they going to be slower because everybody kind of moves up a position? So now you got our quickness. I think they have the length to make up for it on the back end. That's why I think it'll still work. Offensively, I think they're going to own the boards, and I think they're going to own the physicality and the athleticism, because PJ Washington is very mobile offensively. Like, he's a tough cover, even if you put a quicker guy on him, and he's way too big if you put a traditional small forward on him. He's way too big for that. You've got Anthony Davis, you got Gafford, you've got these guys with length that I think that's your ticket. Is Kyrie's going to be brilliant. Anthony Davis is going to have to give you, his individual brilliance and maybe the 2-man game brilliance, but then everybody's just got to out-muscle and athleticism everybody on the offensive end, and then let your defense kind of give you a chance. And that's a system I can buy it. I don't know if I buy it for a championship, but I can buy it as a team that can be like last year's Dallas team, where it's like, man, it's just, if you don't match up with them well, they're going to overpower you game after game in a series.
Okay, let me ask you something. Who is Dallas's best player?
Anthony Davis.
Okay. What is Anthony Davis won as the best player on a team?
Correct. But he does have a very good second best player this time around, and Kyrie Irving.
He does, but no, I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, because people also, one of the things you got to remember about Luka, and Luka Doncic has been unbelievable in meeting the moment when his team needed it.
Yeah.
Throughout his career. The guy's incredible under pressure. And you've seen it repeatedly in the playoffs throughout his career. What he has done on given nights when they absolutely had to have it. Now, look, Boston was too much. They overwhelmed them. They were too good for anybody last year. So he wasn't going to do that. And, he had nobody make shots for him in that series. Their three-point shooting was awful. That would have helped some, but it wouldn't have mattered. But he's so good in those pressure spots. Look, Kyrie's been good in pressure spots throughout his career too. And Anthony Davis has been also when he's had LeBron to take a lot of the pressure off of him. So this is another level of pressure. You're not only are you going to a team that's going to have still expectations, you're replacing Luka Doncic. So there's that component. So I'm not saying they can't do it, and they haven't played well in certain moments in their careers under pressure, but Luka Doncic is one of the best playoff performers this league's ever seen to this point in his career, certainly. So that's something else that has to be replicated. I'm a big Anthony Davis believer right now. He obviously had a lot of injuries throughout his career, was very unreliable, very inconsistent. Even after they won the championship in the bubble, like those next couple years of the Lakers, like he had nights where he looked so passive. And I think he's put a lot of that behind him. Most nights I watch Anthony Davis now, almost all the time, I'm really impressed with his effort and his energy and his reliability and like how much he seems to care and his competitiveness. So that's great. And I have nothing bad to say about the guy. The guy's a great player. And it now remains to be seen What happens with these two franchises? And it's going to be amazing because they're going to be connected for the rest of Luka Doncic's career. Not Anthony Davis and Luka, the Mavericks and Luka.
Yeah.
Where the Mavericks go, what comes next for the franchise, and what happens with Luka Doncic for the rest of his career, which is going to be another, probably 12 years at least.
Yeah. See, Anthony Davis part, he's in a lose-lose situation. I mean, it's so hard to be embraced as the guy that replaced Luka. He was the beloved one, and now there's nothing you can do almost. Maybe you have to win multiple championships now just to get the adoration from the fan base that they had for Luka, and it's not even his fault. He's just thrown into this situation as a piece of it. Let's take our first break. On the other side, I want to talk about the Lakers part of this and where do the Lakers go from here? I want to ask about LeBron James playing number 2. He's never done that, truly been the number 2 on a team, and I think he is now. So we'll talk about those things on the other side. First, Super Bowl 59, 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who will take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment. The Super Bowl really is the most fun betting day because you can bet on literally everything. They got so many prop bets. They got all these boosts and everything else. It really is a fun time to hop in on FanDuel and make some of these bets. Plus, to make the Super Bowl even sweeter, new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/AllNBA to bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Must be 21 and older, present in select states. If Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit MD Gambling Help in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Also want to tell you guys about the Game Time app. If you're in LA and trying to go catch Luka Doncic, I know he's out for another week or so, or a couple days before he gets reevaluated, but maybe you want to try to hop in and buy some tickets for whatever game you think he will be back. Well, where do you want to go? Go to the Game Time app because they make buying tickets to NBA games very easy. They got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, viewed from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. What's nice about it is you can go on the homepage and you can see all the upcoming events. Maybe there's an event you didn't even know about, a show, a festival or something like that you can get tickets to right there. And you go, oh, I had no idea this was going on. I'll get tickets to that. But what also is nice is if you do know the event you're going to, you can go to the stadium, park, pay for parking, walk up to the front gate, and feel confident that you can open the app right at the gate and find last-minute ticket deals. And they have that all-in pricing feature right on the front page where you click that, and you're not surprised at checkout with all the hidden fees. You think you're buying a $100 ticket, you go to checkout, it's $200 because there's taxes and fees on there. Hit the all-in pricing button, and when you check out, you know exactly what the number is when you get to checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code ALLNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem that code ALLNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, back here with Tim Legler. We're talking about the Luka Doncic trade, and now let's go to the Lakers side of it. First of all, if you're new to the show, we're doing this 4 times a week live on this very channel, so if you're new to it, you definitely want to subscribe. We've got all kinds of content. Mark Stein joins us once a week, gives us the inside scoop on what's going on around the NBA. He'll be doing that later in the week here post-trade deadline. By the way, we will have a post-trade deadline show Thursday afternoon, a different time slot there, so we'll be able to catch you up on whatever other craziness happens between now and then. But, Legs, if we go to the Lakers side, here's my first question for you, because who knows what they're going to do in the short term. There's still 3 days before the trade deadline. Maybe the Lakers make another big move. They're rumored to want a big. But my first question is, LeBron has always been the number one. He's had high-profile number twos, Dwayne Wade, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, but he's never had a guy to come in where it's clear LeBron is the number 2. And I think this is a situation where, as great as LeBron is, Luka Doncic is better. At this stage of their careers, Luka Doncic is better. And I'm just curious. I think it's actually interesting to see how LeBron approaches this, because this is a dynamic where they play the same position, similar styles, but one guy's actually better than him. And I have no idea how that's going to go.
I completely agree with that. And it's a fair assessment. You know, it's interesting. Luka Doncic is the type of guy. Look, I know he really looks up to LeBron. He might be his all-time favorite player. I believe I've heard him say before. But yet here he is. He's going to walk into that locker room the first day, and he's walking in there like, this is now my franchise.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on? Listen, here's how things are going to go now that I'm in town. It's going to kind of run through me. It's an interesting dynamic because neither guy, look, LeBron has had teammates of really high caliber in his career where he would, if you want to call him off the ball, I don't know if LeBron's really ever off the ball, because even when he's not one of those guys, like, he's not Harden, give it up, go stand with your hands on your hips on the weak side for these 3 possessions to let somebody else have a turn, and then he's got the next 8 minutes. LeBron will weak side slash, he'll weak side cut, he'll stay active. Luka less so, but now the offense is going to be these 2 players that all they've known their entire lives is, I'm the guy that has to set the table. I'm the guy in control of the game. And now you've got 2 of them, and some people may look at that as a blessing. Hey, you got 2 of these guys? That's great, but it's a massive adjustment for the other guy. Yeah. It's a massive adjustment because anytime Luka Doncic hasn't been in control when he's on the floor, it's because he just chose to on those few possessions, because maybe he wanted a rest, or he realized, hey, Kyrie needs to go cook a little bit. And that's about it. It's, for the most part, it's whenever he wants it, he gets it. And even at the beginning of games, I've talked about this with Luka repeatedly. The way Luka hunts his own offense in the first 8 minutes of the game, he always puts his toe in the water first to see how he's feeling tonight. Because if he's got it going, like, it's a problem. So that's a different element with LeBron on the court with you. They've got to figure out a lot. I'm not saying they can't. Anybody that says they can't play together, I think you're just so short-sighted in 2 of the smartest players that have ever played, and 2 of the most talented, and 2 of the guys that can beat you in other ways other than scoring at the highest level. I think they're going to figure this out. Now, the question is, Adam, this is where I do wonder, is LeBron going to enjoy playing with him?
That's what we're really talking about. Yeah.
And that's really what this is. And I'm not sure about that. Even if they do have some success, and again, I don't think this team's winning a title. I don't think they're rolling through the West. But, they're going to have success and they're going to win. Maybe they win a round or whatever. They lose in the second round or the conference finals. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma City if they played them, or whoever, maybe a couple other teams. Is LeBron going to enjoy it even if they are winning? That's my point. Like, there are things about Luka that aren't easy. I'm not going to sit up here and try to deny those things. He does disregard defense to a certain extent. He does lack the desire to run back and transition, and it hurts his teams. He does get caught up in this stuff with the officials still this deep into his career. All those are negatives. There's no doubt about it. And those are things that and look, the defense, especially when you lost AD, and LeBron was just raving about AD in his post-game interview when they beat the Knicks on Saturday, and then found out a couple hours later that they were trading him. But he was raving about him in his post-game interview about his defense. Well, you took a major step back. And so all of those things, are they going to bother LeBron? Like, just the way Luka plays, it's not for everyone. So that part of it, I don't know. That's why when LeBron came out and reported right away, LeBron's not going to ask out. Like, he's not going to waive his no trade before the deadline tomorrow. I was a little bit surprised, or Thursday. I was a little bit surprised by that. Like, that's kind of quick to report that. He doesn't want to think about that for a couple days. Hey, man, maybe they're giving this thing to Luka going forward. Maybe there's somewhere else I'd like to go that I enjoyed this more that will still give me a chance to win this year. It sounds like he's going to stay there. How that looks, Adam, I'd love to say I can predict that. It's very tough to predict it when you put 2 guys like this on the floor together that are this alpha and this ball dominant, and that's all they know. I'm going to be curious to see how it works out.
It's entirely possible LeBron has plans a little bit later, right? Like, maybe it's not this deadline, but maybe he has his eyes on something in the offseason. I personally think that, but we'll see how it plays out. The other piece of this is Luka isn't healthy. Luka's missed a lot of time. He's been in and out with this calf strain. So when he comes back, and possibly within a week, what version of Luka do we get? And it's also weird that you start off when you get 2 superstars together. The first weeks are, all right, let's figure out who we are, what our style is. If Luka's not 100%, you might create a new style that's not your final form style, because Luka had to ease into this. So there is a period right now where I look at this Lakers team and think it's going to be difficult in the short run. But the bigger question I have is, if you get Luka Doncic at age 25 and you're the Lakers, the team with the single easiest job of building around superstars when you get the superstars in the building. Now it's like, okay, everybody wants to play for LA. We can make this happen. I'm not sure how long they should even try the Luka LeBron experiment. I think if I'm the Lakers, I almost hope I go on a Blake slate. I've got Luka Doncic now, lock him up for long term, and let's build from scratch now in Los Angeles with him. And that's kind of how I approach this whole thing, is even if they do work, I'd almost would have my mind towards what's the best way to build around him, and it's probably not LeBron.
As usual, you're brilliant. That's a brilliant take. And here's what I said right away, Adam, and I'll stand by this. This has zero to do with the Lakers trying to win now with LeBron.
Right.
Zero. This was about them getting closer to the end. And look, even LeBron, he's said some passive aggressive stuff about maybe not playing anymore beyond this year. I don't believe that the way he looks, but he has, in different interviews, ask about next year. Well, we'll see. It's just stuff like that. So my point is, the Lakers organization, and they just hired a young coach with no coaching experience, and they didn't just hire him to try to win with LeBron and then they're going to figure out their next coach. They hired JJ Redick thinking he could be a long-term coach for this organization and get better year after year after year, right? Well, then, therefore, you have to know what's over the mountaintop. What is next? What's the next iteration of the Lakers? That's what this is about, even if they don't win squat. And LeBron stays there this year and next year and then retires, and they don't win, that's fine, because they think they just got the cornerstone player for their franchise for the next 12 years. Now, look, Luka has some say in this. Who knows if Luka wants to stay in LA, man? Maybe it's not his cup of tea. Who knows? That remains to be seen. How he handles all of this. He'll be fine with the pressure of wearing a Lakers uniform. That's not an issue for Luka. It's who do they put around him? Does he like the LA lifestyle? Is that him? So that remains to be seen. But that's what this was about completely for the Lakers. Yay, hey, great. If we can give LeBron a send-off with a run to the finals or conference finals or a championship, great. LeBron deserves that. They don't really care, though. It's not about LeBron James at all. This is about the next decade. And they just got a player that should have been untouchable. Yeah. And they were able to go. And by the way, did you see the report yesterday that came out late in the day? And I don't remember who reported this, that this wasn't the best deal the Lakers were offering. No, I read this last night.
The pick. We can't, if we want to keep it secret, we're not going to include another pick.
Not only that, not only the additional pick, I read last night that Dalton Connect was also on the table.
You got to be able to get Dalton Connect for Luka. You got to be able to get that if you're negotiating this. It's insane.
And I'm saying it. I'm not saying Dalton Connect instead of Max Christie. I'm saying what I saw reported was Anthony Davis, Max Christie, the picks, another pick, and Dalton Connect. And apparently it kind of dragged on a little bit. And then Pelinka, I think, played some games and made it seem like he was bringing up Luka's issues that Nico Harrison had. And he was kind of psychologically using that against him. This is a big risk on our part. Yeah. So therefore they end up with a deal that wasn't as good as the best deal they could have gotten. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's what was reported last night. So my thing with this, Adam, all along was, this is nothing to do with LeBron. This is about the Lakers going forward. Doesn't matter what happens with LeBron as long as he's in a Lakers uniform. Doesn't matter anymore. They've got the next guy. Okay, that's what this is about for them. Here's what I was saying for me, for the Mavericks, and why I was so fired up about this. If you are going to do this, you at least have to get back a guy that's in his mid-20s or late 20s. That potentially could be the selling point going forward. We got our guy now for the next decade. And who would that be? There's some untouchables. You're not getting Wemby. You're not getting Jokic. You're not getting Shea. Yeah. You're not getting Giannis. Okay, I think those might be the only four.
You sure about Giannis?
I don't think Milwaukee would have done it. I
Yeah.
don't think Milwaukee
I'm
would do
I'm
that.
not saying now, not right now, but I'm just saying this Luka thing opens up my mind now to the idea of an Anthony Edwards, a Giannis, like in Milwaukee. If things play
I'm
out,
just talking about specifically this trade.
oh, right now in the next 3
If,
days, I
if
got you.
Dallas reached out to Milwaukee, I think they're saying no, because it's Giannis, man. They
Yeah,
want
not in the
Giannis to
next 3
spend his
days.
whole career there, right? So, and he's still playing at an MVP level. So it's like, no, they would have passed. So who's the next group of guys? I can only think of a few that would, and I'm not saying, by the way, I would have done any of these trades, but you at least have to explore Anthony Edwards. You have
Yeah.
to explore, I think, Tatum. You have
Yeah.
to explore Paolo Banchero. I'm not even sure there's anybody beyond that. Somebody else said Cade Cunningham. I'm not. But here, by the way, it's not straight up. I'm talking about Tatum, another starter, picks to get Luka. Like that's what it should
Yeah.
take. And the
Right.
same thing with all these other teams, and they have assets and they've got young players. But at least then you sell to your fans. Okay, we think this is the guy we build around for the next decade, and he's a little bit plays a little harder on defense. He's a little bit more reliable. He's in better shape. Not the talent of Luka, but we can build a team around these particular players. That's not what you did with Anthony Davis and putting him with Kyrie Irving. This, as Nico Harrison said, this is 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4
Yeah.
years. That's all that they thought about organizationally in this move, and that's why people are blown away by it for what you gave up at a guy that age that good.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, man. It's absolutely insane. And the Lakers of all teams, if you told me one team gets to start with Luka Doncic and build a team, I'd say the Lakers are going to be the one to pull it off because it's just easier. It's easier in LA. I mean, this trade is in many ways proof of it. You know, they've made so many mistakes around LeBron and AD over the last 5 years. For most teams, that would be damning. You don't crawl out of it. You got to go the long route back. Luka Doncic just falls right into their lap. And I look at that and I go, the Lakers build around their stars when they have them and they have a blank slate. I think they'll be able to do that here in the coming years. You got to get out of here, Leg. So let's get to our super chats here. You got a heart out. We didn't even get to De'Aaron Fox, by the way. We'll have to get to it tomorrow.
We got 3 more shows this week, Adam. I mean, there's going to be because look, the trading deadline, by the way, is Thursday. So who knows what else still plays out. Most of this week is about the changing landscape in the NBA more so than any of these games. It's that's just a fact. Except the games I'm calling.
What do you got this week? What do you have?
All right, so I got Phoenix, Oklahoma City, Wednesday night.
Could be a disaster if Phoenix makes a crazy trade and nobody's available because the trade's
Katie might not be there by then, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't catch a break. Like, so I did 4 Lakers games at the start of the year with no Luka. Now I've got 4 Mavericks games coming up with no Luka.
Yeah.
It's fun to call guys like that. But anyway, Phoenix, Oklahoma City Wednesday, and then Utah, Phoenix Friday night.
Oh, you got 2 Phoenix ones. So you better pray there's not a Phoenix trade.
I basically am traveling with Phoenix. Like we're flying basically the same airspace to go from Oklahoma City to their home court on Friday night. But I got Wednesday night, Oklahoma City, Phoenix with Mike Breen. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
But to make no mistake about it, most of this week is going to be about the changing landscape, and Thursday could be a very active day in the league.
No question. So we'll get to Fox tomorrow because I think that's a very interesting trade for all the teams involved. But Randy Balin says, guys, if Cuban was still the owner, is there any way this deal goes down? I will say I talked to somebody in a front office in the NBA right after this trade happened, and they said, look, man, the conspiracy theories out there make more sense than the logic of the trade. So who knows about any of this, but conspiracy theory makes more sense.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, answer it.
Here's how certain I am of this. Not only would Mark Cuban not have done the deal, Mark Cuban would have fired a person that suggested it on the spot in his organization because he'd be certain that person has to be doing something, right? In terms of, narcotics.
True.
Because
it's true.
I'm serious. And even they asked Mark Cuban, they asked him, did you see this comment?
Yeah.
I don't own the team anymore.
Yeah.
That's all he said. So come on, man. Now, and he's not going to give some giant ringing endorsement of the trade because he is friends. He's tight with Luka. And Dirk. Do you see Dirk posted the sad face emoji?
Yeah.
Dirk's upset.
You made Dirk sad.
Made Dirk
sad,
right?
Man.
So there's rumors that his statue was weeping outside the arena. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But so to answer the question, no. Not only would Mark Cuban not have done it, he would have literally threatened firing anybody that suggested it.
All right. What else we got, James? Mr. Exquisite Nugget says, Tim, if Luka was a nug, how many chips will he win? And it's kind of a random one.
What, putting him with Jokic?
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Listen, you better get, I will say this, you better get 3 really high-level defenders around there. Couple guys that can shoot. But, oh my God, that's tantalizing to think about. Hey, look, man, by the way, let's not forget, Luka Doncic still holds a lot of cards here because these guys do become free agents.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? And look, he just lost a lot of money. He said he was going to sign the Supermax in Dallas. He said he expected to stay there his entire career. And if he had signed the Supermax, he probably would have. But he didn't. He can't sign for as much money. But who knows how he's viewing all of this and what he's thinking and processing. Time will tell about that.
Yeah. Do we have any others, James? Is that it?
That's everything.
Right. Hit that outro music. Guys, we appreciate you. Early morning today for us both. It was the only time we can get before Legs once again flies out. He's a busy man covering a couple games this week, so you'll want to tune into those games, but you'll also want to make sure you're subscribed to this channel because we do have another show tomorrow morning. We'll have shows Thursday afternoon. We'll have shows Friday morning as well. So we got 4 great shows for you, and all of them are going to be breaking down the big stories in the NBA as well as the games that are taking place. So hit that like button for us. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
Silly like the mayor.